Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going over this pistol that you see in my hands right here. This is a Smith & Wesson Shield M&P 9 2.0. So the 2.0 is the newest version of the Shield, and these particular pistols are extremely popular. In fact, not just on YouTube, but 2 of my top 20 videos are on the original Shield. So a lot of people seem interested in these, and this is their newest addition to the Shield lineup. So what we're going to do today, of course, is let the dogs take a look at it, make sure they approve of it, and then we're going to get into the details of the pistol itself, compare it to the original M&P, so you guys can see what's different with this one. If you already have an M&P Shield, the original one, should you get a 2.0, should you not? We're going to compare it size-wise to a few other competitive options out there on the market as well to get you guys a pretty good idea of what you're looking at here. And then at the end, we'll go over what I think of it overall. Try it out here with some hollow points. We got some 147 grain gold dots. See how it does. Seem to do just fine. Before getting into the gun, let's go over the differences with the original Shield and now the 2.0. So first and foremost, of course, you have 2.0 written on the slide. That's a huge difference to a lot of folks. That's sarcasm for those that didn't pick up on it. Anyway, looking here at the slide, you'll see on the 2.0 that we do have these serrations here up front that are not present on the original one. Those are theoretically for press checking. However, I'm not too sure about that. I can't personally do it using them. I have no problem doing it though using the rear ones. But they are there. It's also going to lighten up the slide just a touch, as you would imagine. The big difference, of course, here is going to be on the grip. The 2.0 has a more aggressive texture to it versus what you saw here on the 1.0. The 1.0 actually has a decent grip texture, though. I really don't have a problem with that one, but I do prefer the 2.0. If I had to pick one of the two grip texture-wise, absolutely 2.0 would be what I'd go with. One thing, just to get into the grip texture there, some folks think that aggressive grip texture will kind of like wear their clothes or dig in their skin if they're carrying it inside the waistband. I've carried this gun inside the waistband a good bit. I've never experienced either of those, so it's not too aggressive if you're worried about that. Another big difference is going to be on the trigger. Just make sure these are clear real quick. They are. On the original Shield, the trigger wasn't bad. It had a decent break. It's going to break right around 6.5 pounds right there. The reset, though, if you guys can kind of watch here real quick, I'll be quiet. Kind of has that first false reset, and then there is the actual reset. It's not as crisp and defined of a reset, nor as positive as what you're going to see here on the 2.0. On the 2.0, it's better. The trigger break on 2.0 is a little bit better as well. It's cleaner, and it's about 1/2 pound lighter on average when I measured both of these out, and the reset's much better. Right there, nice and positive. You can get back on it. It's shorter and it's more positive, and you don't have that false reset. Also, one thing that's different there is you guys can see the over travel stop. On the 2.0, it's not there on the original Shield. That makes a difference, again, in the trigger pull and just the way it feels. Once you break that wall, you just stop. It's very positive, and again, you get right back on it with a much shorter reset than you're going to see here with the 1.0. The finish on the slide is Smith & Wesson's Armorite finish, and that finish is their version of nitriding or melaniting. Basically what it is it's a nitrocarburizing of the metal, so it's not just a finish, i.e. it's not just like a black coating they put on the outside of the metal. It's actually a surface treatment and a metal treatment, so the actual metal down into the pores of the metal is treated with that nitrocarburization process. It gives you better slickness, better corrosion resistance, better hardness. It ups the numbers there on the Rockwell hardness, and it's just going to give you more life overall, which certainly is a good thing. It's going to help prevent rust, which is extremely important, particularly in a concealed carry pistol where the pistol may be up against your body, and when guns are up against your body and you sweat and stuff like that, it tends to rust. That's just sort of something that happens over time. But that finish there helps to prevent that. I've never had it at all, and I've carried this pistol a good bit without issues. So, of course, we have those little serrations there up front, like we mentioned, good serrations there on the rear. One thing I like about the shield is that the last serration there kind of sticks out. It's really hard to pick up on camera. You guys might not be able to see it, but that last one sticks out a little bit more. So that way you can really kind of grab it and run it pretty hard and get a good grip on there. I've always been a fan of the serrations there on the M&P series. So on the top, we do have this little witness hole here, and that is your loaded chamber indicator. If the lighting conditions are good, rather, you can see if there's a round in there. You'll be able to see the brass or nickel coating there on your case. And the sights that the pistol comes with are 3-dot factory sights. They're not night sights. They do offer a night sight version, though, as well, that you can pick up. And they have the same sights that you see on this shield here, which is my original 1.0. They're 3-dot sights, and they have a nice ledge on there for one-handed manipulation. In terms of profile, the original original sights are the same as what you see here. So you have good metal sights that come from the factory like that, and they do give you the option for one-handed manipulations. They're good sights. However, I opted to go with a set of night vision sights just to test those out. We have our U-notch rear with our subdued black, and then up front we have the orange with outline that glows sort of during the day and draws your eye to it. And then, of course, we have the tritium bile in the front as well. One good thing about Smith & Wesson M&P shields is that there's just a ton of options out there for them. If you want to accessorize them, if you want to add a different trigger, if you want to add different sights, if you want holsters, there's a ton of options. I've been using this one here by DeSantis. This is their sort of Safariland, excuse me, not DeSantis. This is their retention ALS holster here. That's OWB, so you actually have to depress that little thumb lock to let it go. But I have some inside the waistband holsters for it as well. There's also pocket carry holsters for it. Really kind of the world is your oyster when it comes to accessories here for the shield. We've already discussed the grip texture, so we'll move on from there. The magazine release is going to come on the left side of the pistol for right-handed shooters. However, it is ambidextrous, or rather reversible, not ambidextrous. So you can switch it over to the right side of the pistol if you want to do so. You guys can see the magazines are cut for ambidextrous release. The safety is going to come, if you get a thumb safety model, on the left side of the pistol. So that way, if you're a right-handed shooter, you can deactivate it pretty easily with the knuckle there on your thumb. However, it's kind of hard to engage. So you're going to have to switch your grip position or do it with your offhand to get that safety on. And I would rather, get the safety on, but to come off is much easier. Slide lock here is pretty low profile. Now, I really like that. I don't like having big slide locks stick out because sometimes I have a tendency with my larger hands to accidentally actuate it. But on this one, that's never happened, so that's certainly a good thing, but it still works just fine to lock the slide to the rear. However, it's kind of low profile, and sometimes I have a hard time actuating it with my thumb, as you guys can see there. So if that's the case for you as well, of course, just run the slide to the rear and you will be fine. This trigger, we've already discussed and beat that one to death. And then we also have, of course, our takedown lever, which we'll get into here in just a second. And up front on the dust cover of the pistol, there's no rail, so there's no provision to mount like an aftermarket light laser or anything like that. Of course, Streamlight does make the TLR6 for a light. And then we've also already discussed, I think, the Crimson Trace offerings that Smith & Wesson does provide from the factory. The gun ships with 2 magazines from the factory, so you get an 8-rounder that you see here, and then you're also going to get your 7-round magazines, and it's sort of a stack and a half type of magazine. They say they're single stack, but as you guys can see on both mags, basically it's kind of a little bit wider, and then it tapers up to a single stack there at the top, and that's how you get an extra round in this magazine versus, say, like a Glock 43 that we'll get into a little bit later on. That tapered sort of stack, the 1.5 stack, I guess you could say. But the Smith & Wesson magazines are excellent, all metal, no doubt about it. They drop free, as you guys saw. And with the 8-rounders, a lot of folks like to carry with the 7 in there, giving you a total capacity of 9 rounds in the 9mm versions. And then, of course, you can use this as your backup mag and get 8 rounds for your reload if you want to, or of course you could carry it just like this and have 9 total rounds at your disposal. One thing I'll caution you on, though, is if you're going to carry the magazine like in a belt or something like that, and it's going to be rounds down, I just caution you to, with these grip sleeves here, just either take it off completely or have some sort of way to sort of glue it down. And the reason I say that is sometimes when you're carrying rounds down with a spare mag like that, you can get it like that, and then sometimes when you go to insert it, you won't fully insert it. See, and you guys can see that I kind of had to double tap it in there to get it to seat, and that's because of that grip sleeve on there. So Brownells did send out some extra 8-round mags, which I do appreciate. That helped us get enough rounds through this gun to bring you the review, and they've actually had some pretty good deals going on lately on their mags, so I'll drop a link down below in the places I can do so anyway if you guys are looking to pick up some spare mags. Disassembling the pistol is pretty straightforward. We're going to press up here on our slide lock. Of course, if you have a magazine in there, drop it first. Make sure that the pistol is clear, and it is. There's a couple of different ways to take this gun apart, but one thing that the M&P offers that some of its competitors don't offer is a way to disassemble it without pulling the trigger. So if you look in there, you guys can probably see this little yellow thing. If you take any standard punch, you can actually pull it forward, and you guys can probably see that it's sticking forward now at this point. So if you want to disassemble the pistol and not pull the trigger, that's what you have to do. You have to pull that forward to disconnect the sear. You're going to rotate this lever here down 90 degrees, let the slide go home, and it should come right off. If you don't pull this little lever down, all you have to do is press the trigger and the slide will come off. So we do have our guide rod and spring, and it is made out of steel, as you guys can see there. We do have our barrel, and you guys can see pretty similar to the original barrel. It has a nice wide feed ramp there for feeding hollow points. We've had a grand total of 0 failures of any kind with this gun, including many magazines of hollow points. See back here on the rear of the slide, we do have the safety, or rather the striker safety. That's going to prevent the striker from going home if the pistol's dropped or anything like that. As does, while we're talking about that, this little hinge here on the trigger. So what this hinge does, the hinge design, is that this piece in the rear right here, if that doesn't go up into the trigger itself, just like that, make sure you guys can actually see that on camera. If that action doesn't happen, the actual striker cannot go home. So it's another safety mechanism built into it to make sure that the pistol doesn't fire when it's not supposed to. And if this isn't pressed forward, then our striker here cannot go forward. So there are some redundant safeties built in, even if you have a model without the thumb safety. So it should be noted that the barrel also has that nice Armornite finish on there as well. So same benefits you get in terms of corrosion resistance, lubricity, all of that stuff are built into it. Small, compact pistols designed for concealed carry certainly are all the rage, so we'll show you the size comparison with this one with a few other popular ones out there on the market. Set this off to the side. Of course, the big competitor, probably, according to most folks, is going to be the Glock 43. We don't have our mag in there, but size-wise, they're pretty much identical. You guys can take a look there, how they look from the top. And then, again, with the Glock 43 with a magazine in it, which I don't have handy, it's going to be pretty much the same length. It's just a hair shorter, but you're also going to get one less round with the Glock 43 than you do with the 7-round magazine in the Shield, so that's something to consider as well. Another offering that Smith & Wesson came out with is this Shield 380 Easy. Of course, that's in 380. You do get 8+1 rounds there. It's a more full-size option. I think for new shooters, the 380 Easy is probably the better option, generally speaking, simply because it's so easy to manipulate and the recoil is almost nothing on it. Not that the Shield is a really heavy recoiling gun, but you guys can see there how they stack up size-wise. Another option out there on the market is the Taurus 709. A lot of folks seem to like that on the budget market. You guys can see size-wise the Taurus, probably a touch longer there in the back, but grip-wise is pretty similar overall. And then kind of the new dog here lately is going to be the P365. Now the difference between this and this, of course, is with the 365 you get some extra rounds. It's a 10-round magazine. It's a little bit shorter there in the slide, as you guys can see. It appears to be pretty similar in terms of width as far as I can tell, and overall length, if you include that pinky extension there on the mag, is a little bit longer there on the Sig, but with the flat base plate that the Sig also has, it's pretty much identical because it's going to come right down to the same length as the base plate on the Shield. Now, the 365 isn't quite, I guess, tested and proven yet. You guys have probably seen that on the internet for those looking around at some of the P365 videos. But one thing that's for sure about the M&P shield is that it is a proven design. They're known for their reliability and function, so that's certainly something that the shield has going for it for sure. Not that some of the other guns don't, but the 365, when it was initially released anyway, definitely had some issues. And if you guys are deciding between this pistol and the Bodyguard, you're going to see some huge differences size-wise. The Bodyguard is very, very small. It's very thin. It's very lightweight. However, again, it's 6+1 rounds of 380, so a less powerful cartridge. Probably has a little bit more recoil as well due to the size and weight of it. Earlier I mentioned that I carried this inside the waistband a good bit already, and that was in one of my Priority 1 holsters, IWB rigs, which was for the Generation 1 or the 1.0s. I wanted to try and see if one of the 1.0 holsters for outside the waistband with retention would still work here, so I ordered this one here from Safariland. This has, again, the ALS system, the automatic locking system is what I believe it stands for anyway. And as you guys can see there, it's got retention, but when you actually hit it, it does release it, and the retention system works fine with this as well. So that was kind of good. That really was the reason I wanted to try it out. But I also think this would be a pretty cool little holster to use like in winter months for those of you guys who carry outside the waistband with either a jacket or like a sweatshirt or something like that. It'll give you retention. Plus it'll just be a little bit more comfortable than say an IWB type of rig. We covered most of the points so far on this particular pistol. I mentioned earlier we've had a grand total of 0 issues out of it at all in terms of functions. It's functioned flawlessly, not a single problem. However, I should mention that one time accidentally this safety was on. I did not put it on and I pulled it out of my range bag. I'm not entirely sure how it got put on, but it did happen accidentally. So if you guys are concerned about that, definitely take a look at getting one without a thumb safety. This particular gun right here, I should point that out, was sent out to me by Smith & Wesson for T&E, so thanks to them for doing that. But yeah, that's the reason that this one here has a thumb safety, is because I didn't pick it. I would pick one without it. But I do think the thumb safety versions have their place because a lot of people do feel a little bit more at ease carrying a gun with a thumb safety on there. So if that's you, there you go. But again, 0 issues from a function perspective. The accuracy is very good as well. This has a 1 in 10 twist in barrel in there, which I believe all of the M&Ps now at 9mm do have. And again, 0 issues accuracy wise. It's as accurate as I am, that's for sure, and fed anything that we put in there. The actual pistol itself, if you're looking to pick one up, I believe their MSRP is $459. However, if you look around on the internet, you can find them under $400 generally most of the time, sometimes even lower if you watch for the sales. We'll drop a link down below for those places where we can drop links, i.e. not YouTube anymore. So over on Full 30 and Facebook, we'll have a link if you guys are looking to pick these up. But that's pretty much it. I mean, these are very good guns. They're good guns for concealed carry. They're good sort of like fighting small guns, which is not always the case with the smaller guns, as many of you guys know. And really, it's lightweight. I think it weighs 19 ounces unloaded. It's accurate. It's concealable. It's easy to shoot well for its size. There's not a lot bad to say about it. If you guys have any questions about the pistol or anything like that, you can always post down below in the comment section as always. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you're new here and you like what you saw, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And I hope to see all of you in the next video.